Lonely Monk Productions.
Y'all, quit being boring just eating dinner and watching TV every night. Next time, pull out a Wongo puzzle and enjoy the conversation and fun that happens when people puzzle together. Wongo is the perfect balance of a good challenge without being so hard that you stop talking to each other and leave your family forever. Trust me, once you try Wongo, you will never go back to a boring old jigsaw puzzle. They are 100% wooden puzzles that will last forever. Each piece is hand-drawn, so no two pieces are the same, and you'll discover some fun, whimsy pieces as you work through it. They come in a custom wooden box, which is perfect for storage and gifting. And they have so many cool designs like African elephant and the wild lizard and the sea tortoise. With stunning designs and unique shapes, Wongo puzzles are a cut above the rest. I like doing the snow globe puzzle myself. It was so great to pull out a puzzle and be done in a night and not have it on the table for a week. So what are you waiting for? Go to wongopuzzles.com and pick your puzzle today. And be sure to use the promo code YTMJ to get 10% off your offer. This is the most fun you've had with a puzzle, guaranteed, or your money back. Go to wongopuzzles.com and use the code YTMJ to get 10% off your order and get puzzling right now. That's wongopuzzles.com. Offer code YTMJ.
I don't know if y'all have heard Miss Lucy by Liz Phair yet, but yo! That's my Jawn! Hey yo, displace the guilt. What's good, friends and family, neighbors near and far? Welcome to an all-new episode of the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast. The podcast, website, brand, movement, way of life dedicated to the embrace and championing of your passions. I am your host, Nate Runkle, a.k.a. Johnny Gill, a.k.a. Johnny Ramone, a.k.a. Nate 3.0. Back at it again with yet another episode of the podcast. As always, I hope this podcast finds you all in good health and in good spirits. On today's episode, I am joined by David Wain and Ken Marino to talk about their group, the Middle-Aged Dad Jam Band. It was such an incredibly fun conversation, and I can't wait to share it with you. I am such a huge fan of these dudes and all they have lent their talents to over the years. So this was just an absolute joy to do. And that is, say it with me, kids, coming up in a minute. But first, hey, how we doing, kids? All's well over here. Summer's in full swing, and I have so many good shows on deck, so all is right with the world. This past Friday, we caught Mondo Cosmo at the Ardmore Music Hall, and it was nothing short of incredible. The last time we saw them there, it was the last night of the old world. We went to that show, and then at midnight, boom, the world shut down. Yeah, that's right. It was the night of the COVID lockdown. So to see the same band in the same room, it was a wild experience. A wild experience made wilder as the fire alarms went off and we had to clear the venue. Yeah, something about Mondo Cosmo and the Ardmore Music Hall. I don't know if they have to bust out the Sage or get Masters Stans and Spengler and Venkman and Zettelmore on the line, but man, there is something strange in their collective neighborhoods, my friends. Outside of the excitement of the fire alarm, though, Josh and his new lineup of pals put on such an amazing show. If you have never seen them live, do make it a point to catch them the next time they are in town. They do not disappoint. But yeah, man, things are good. So much on the horizon that I can't even talk about just now, but holy crap, there is some fun ahead for us. Well, I say us, only if you want to come along for the ride. And the best way to stay on top of where this train is headed next is to jump on the mailing list. Visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com and a little pop-up will show up. And then you just plug your email in there, hit submit, and bam! You got yourself a ticket to ride, and my baby don't care. Hey, well, you know what? While you're at it, follow us on the socials at YoThat'sMyJawn. All of them. Do it. Follow us, for we know the way, my friends. Bet. All right, commercial time. Sit tight, and when we come back, we will have my interview with David Wain and Ken Marino.
Hey man, do you want to make a podcast? Well, Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then distribute it everywhere and get this, even earn money. All in one place, for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. And then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify. And when you want to take your conversations with your fans to the next level, Q&As and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, this is totally free with no catch. Ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I have been able to release this little hobby of mine to the world with very little effort whatsoever. They do all of the hard, unfun stuff. I just get to do the fun stuff. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. That's www.spotify.com/podcasters. Yo, That's My Jawn is brought to you by Liquid IV. Guys, it is festival season. And you know me, I love a festival. And the secret to enjoying a festival is to stay hydrated. Liquid IV has you covered while you prep before, power through to the headliner, and recover after the weekend. Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water alone with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. Man, I love Liquid IV. It comes in a convenient packaging, and it's tasty. When you see me at the Exponential Music Festival this fall, you know that I will have Liquid IV on me. And it comes in 12 delicious, refreshing flavors to keep your hydration routine exciting. All right, strawberry used to be my favorite, but they have this new one. It's strawberry lemonade, and it is a banger. 1 stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. It's non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. Liquid IV believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. So Liquid IV partners with leading organizations for innovative solutions to help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in 50-plus countries around the world. Okay, and you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the promo code YTMJ at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using the promo code YTMJ at liquidiv.com. Do it, and let's get our fests on.
My guests today met on their first day of college at NYU and have worked together ever since. They first burst onto the scene as members of the sketch comedy troupe The State before going on to co-write the films The 10, Role Models, and Wanderlust. Not to mention the countless other projects that they have worked on, directed, and starred in independently. They are currently about to hit the road with their group, the Middle-Aged Dad Jam Band, which will be performing in town at Ardmore Music Hall in Ardmore, PA on July 20th. Folks, it is my absolute honor to welcome to the show David Wain and Ken Marino. Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined today by the great David Wain and the great Ken Marino. Guys, thank you for joining me on Yo, That's My Jawn.
Yo.
Hell of a pleasure.
So I'm beyond excited to have this conversation with you guys because I've been a fan of both of your work and your larger collective's work forever. I had Kevin was on the show back in March, I think, February or March, and I told him I literally quote at least the State, Stella, Party Down, like everything you guys have done, a quote has come out of my mouth probably every day since the mid 90s. So thank you so much.
That's majorly gratifying. That's so cool.
Fantastic. I love that. Give me one. Just throw one out. Let's hear one. Give me one.
Now he's going to be like, oh, just kidding. My publicist told me to say that.
No, yeah. Well, I told Kevin the one, like, there's things that'll slip into my head that I won't even realize they're from things until like long after, and then like I'm doing a rewatch and I'm like, oh, that's where that came from. But like during the rideshare episode with Kevin and Carrie, when Kevin turns to her with the sock puppet and he's like, I don't like you. I do that like to my wife all the time.
Yeah.
And also, you guys are both responsible for the greatest surprise laugh I've ever had in my life, and that is in Wet Hot during Danny's song.
Sure. Crashing into the tree.
Crashing into the tree. It like I don't know that because I just wasn't ready for it, and you know you're beautifully singing Danny's song, and then all of a sudden, you know, like, and I literally almost threw up.
Inspired by a true story.
Really?
The story is it is a true story. When I was 16, I drove a bunch of campers to a mountain trip in Maine at the summer camp that I was a junior counselor at, having just gotten my driver's license, and I really wanted to go back that same night, even though I wasn't supposed to, because I had just met a girl and I wanted to see if I could go back and kiss her. And so very late at night, very tired, I drove through the windy, dark roads of the Mount Katahdin area of Baxter State Park in Maine. And I was half asleep and blasting music so that I could try to stay awake and just smash into a tree.
Holy crap. Was it as funny? Probably not, right?
No, I was not laughing. I was very, very worried that I was going to perish in the woods and get eaten by a bear.
Wow. That's that's
Did
absolutely.
Did I? Maybe yeah, I did. Maybe I'm being replaced by AI.
Okay. All right.
You know, because everyone's talking about that these days, you know.
Yeah,
I've heard
sure.
about
AI.
this AI. Did you see that Paul McCartney says they used AI to create a new Beatles song using John's voice and guitar?
I did see that. I think that's interesting. And he was talking positively about the whole thing, that they're actually going to release a final Beatles album, right?
Yeah.
I feel like they did that a little while back, though, didn't they? They like released some new songs after he was dead by piecing together remnants of his singing. And
yeah. The whole thing's just weird to me. It's just I really hope, because I'm leaving a large library of podcasts, that someone uses AI when I die to create one more episode.
Just one more episode for you.
If you die in the next 6 months, I pledge to do that for you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So
I'll do it in 5 months.
Oh, can you do one better? No. So I like to start things off by jumping in the Wayback Machine and kind of revisiting what a child was like. And since you guys have put this middle-aged dad jam band together, I want to ask you specifically, like, what music was playing around the house when you guys were kids? Like, what were your folks listening to?
That's interesting. My father had a huge record collection because he himself was in radio, and he got a lot of free records, and he also just liked a lot of different kinds of music. So he had a lot of classical and jazz and big band. He loved big band, and he liked everything. He liked rock and pop, and so yeah, we had a pretty eclectic collection. And he would play things, and I would just find things and explore them sometimes. And I think it wasn't until maybe I was 10 or 11 that I started more identifying the music that I liked And that's when I bought like Billy Joel, Glass Houses, and Rolling Stones, Emotional Rescue, and Jay Giles' band Love Stinks. Those are my first 3 cassettes. My first summer at camp, I remember.
That's awesome. Ken, how about you?
Well, for me, growing up, my dad really loved Jim Croce. So there were always 8-track. When I was a kid, the truck, the Ford pickup truck that he had a 8-track player in it. So you could just put and so there were like piles of different Jim Croce and maybe a Bob Denver in there. But we didn't have like a record player at home.
The guy from the Gilligan's Island star, Bob Denver?
Is that John Denver? Sorry, John Denver. And then
Any Bob Denver?
Bob Denver did do an album, and it's terrific. You should listen to it sometime. And then I mean, there was a record player at one point before I get into much music on my own. My parents had this like Christian. It was like called Lamb. I think the band was called Lamb, and it was all these weird Christian folk rock songs about Jesus, which was weird because they're not very religious, but they had that album, and I have a bunch of those songs stuck in my head.
We should play them in the band.
The sacrifice lamb have been slain, his blood on the altar left a stain to wipe away guilt and pain.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
My father actually, because he was in radio, he got sent these, they were called Evatone sound sheets, which were like, it was a piece of very thin plastic that you could put inside a magazine or in a small envelope, but you could put it on a record player and it would play like a record. And they would send these samples of different things. And one of them was a thing called Voice of Freedom, which was like a new campaign to make America feel better about itself. And the song was like, we're the voice of freedom, the voice of America, and we're all and then another part goes, and a lot of good men have died for what we have.
These are both love songs if you really get down to it.
But it was one of those things where it's like it was there, so I played it constantly.
Yes, that was the same thing. And then also there were, for some reason, there weren't like a lot of full albums, but there were a lot of 45s in my house. So the 45s were in the area where my sister and I kind of played, right? So then there was like, who sings? Harry Nilsson sings Coconut. And then Tom Jones, What's New Pussycat? I listened to that a lot. But then when I got older and like I was in in high school, it was Billy Joel, Glass Houses, Stranger, Huey Lewis and the News.
Ken's a lot older than me. I was born in the late 80s, but yeah, I mean, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Harry Nilsson because in doing my half-assed research before this interview, there was a Courtship of Eddie's Father remake. Is that right? That you were attached to?
I did it. We shot it.
Did it didn't
Cogan
air?
was the writer producer. He wrote for The Simpsons, and then he did that. And who's the kid? The kid in it is now a gigantic star. He's in Hunger Games. Josh
Molina.
No, Josh Hutcherson. It was played my son. He was a little kid, and we shot it, and it didn't get picked up. But I have the pilot.
That's incredible. I would love. Did anybody redo the Harry Nilsson theme song?
I think we did a version of the song for the opening credits. Yeah, I don't know who redid it though. I think it was just. I'm not sure who redid it.
That's wild. That's absolutely wild. I would love to put my little eyes on that sometime.
And I've never seen it, which is crazy because Ken's a very good friend.
I don't know if it worked great. It was half in front of an audience. They were trying to figure it out back then. So they shot half in front of an audience and then half remote, or like
those early experiments with hybrid shows. Yeah, I remember.
And I don't know how it played. I liked it though. I liked everybody involved. but it didn't happen.
That's great.
But we flew to San Francisco and shot all the exteriors in San Francisco because I think that's where the first one, the original, was shot. And we like walked along the iconic things that are in the original opening and stuff like that.
It's wild that you should have used that and tried to parlay filling the role or the shoes of the great Bill Bixby into maybe playing the Hulk. You know,
look,
he did play the Hulk on this.
I haven't retired. It's still possible.
It's true. It's true.
He did play the Hulk, and you wrote it. You watch it.
Oh my God!
No,
that's right.
On MTV.
That's right.
That's right. Everybody knows about that, right? You want to explain what You Wrote, You Watched is, Dave?
You Wrote, You Watch It was a series that was on MTV before we had our show, The State, and they hired us as a group to make some of the segments in this show, which was about, in our case, it was about going around on the street and interviewing random people and asking for a funny story, and then we would act out the story in a sketch intercut with their interviews.
And that was with Jon Stewart hosted that, right?
Yeah, Jon Stewart hosted it, and that was sort of our time that MTV noticed us and led to us ultimately making a pilot in a series.
You two were kind of the first people to kind of meet to create the new group in the state. Is that correct?
No, but
No?
we were in the class ahead of most of the rest of the group, other than Todd Hollebeck, and so we were around NYU before the others came. But no,
we all met. Todd, actually, David and Todd were in a sketch comedy group that Todd broke off from and started his own sketch comedy group. And then I had known Todd because we lived on the same floor, I think, in the same building. And then he put together this group, and then David came over from the sketch comedy group that he was into the what was then called the new group, now called the State.
The internet lied to me. Stupid internet.
But David and I met our first day of college. Me, David, and Craig. I actually went down to David's room the first day of college because a guy I went to high school with was their third of the three roommates they had, and I went down to see my friend from high school, met David and Craig, and then just wound up hanging out with David and Craig for the rest of my life.
And what I always remember is that Ken's high school friend, who we were just randomly assigned to be his roommate, said, "One rule is when you're dogging a bitch, do it under the sheets." I had to look up all those words.
It's incredible. It's incredible. So here's one of the things, and I was talking to Kevin a little bit about this, and that is that, like, I feel like you guys put together this incredibly brilliant show that has just kind of gotten, for lack of better terms, screwed because of the music rights issues. That, like, because it didn't hit, a lot of reruns and stuff like that, and because it took as long as it did to pop up on DVD and to be able to be streamed and stuff like that, that all it did was kind of make you guys to a certain sect and a lot of people my age and a lot of my friends, legends that we, that is a challenge to share with people.
Right.
I don't know if there's a question there.
It definitely was that thing where people had a proprietary sort of ownership of the thing because it was not widely known or widely available. I think you're right. That was part of the mystique of it. And that was really just an accident of the fact that we were on MTV, and by dictum, we had to layer every sketch with songs that were from the MTV library, which nobody at the time, we didn't know would be an issue later.
You started out your question or your statement about if we got screwed, but then ended with we kind of became a culty thing with people. And I think that's right. I don't know if we got screwed. I think it actually helped the mystique of the group because it became a harder thing to access. So I think in a way, at a certain point, it became a cool thing to find and be a part of because it was hard to get. So in a way,
it was a win in the long game.
Yeah.
That makes sense. He had said Paramount sends out feelers every once in a while about doing something. Is that true?
Well, the state is always talking about doing different projects together. We've all stayed in touch over the years. It's like a family. And even though it's been, I think 60 years now since the original show, 70 years.
78 years.
There's always talk, and there's stuff brewing even as we speak, which we'll be talking about soon.
Very cool. In any chance, is it a feature length version of Porcupine Racetrack? Because that would be pretty cool.
Oh, from your lips to Porcupine's ears.
If we could save one porcupine, that would be a day's work.
We've done our job.
Yeah. So you guys have stayed working together and writing together. You guys, brilliantly put out, like the 10 role models and Wanderlust and now you guys are doing a band together. How exactly did the Middle-Aged Dad Jam Band come about?
Well, really, I've always dicked around with playing the drums, and I love playing music, and I did play very sort of lightly in bands as a teenager. And then when the pandemic hit and there was really nothing to do, I was took that opportunity to go in my garage and just start recording pieces of cover songs, and then just having other friends on video from their quarantines doing their parts. And it became a really fun thing. And then finally, when it was a time when we could get together in person, and I actually moved to a place that had a garage, I just said, hey, all my old friends, let's just all hang out, and whoever wants to come over and jam. And those jams became super fun and sort of become more frequent. And Ken kind of just emerged as someone who came all the time and was became the lead singer basically of this band that organically formed out of old friends. And some of the clips went online, and there was some demand for us to go outside of the house and do a show. And we ended up doing something at Sketchfest this past January in San Francisco. And now we've been doing some shows, and it's been a blast.
That's incredible. I remember seeing some of the pandemic stuff, and then the pandemic ended and the videos didn't. They just kept coming, and I was just like, "Oh, this is glorious!" This is. Are you guys? Was being a rock band ever a dream? Was that ever a thought of instead of comedy? Or
I mean, for me, I feel like everybody has a little fantasy about being in a rock band. Just this, what seems like there's.
Who wouldn't want to be a rock star?
What's that, Dave?
Who wouldn't want to be a rock star?
Yeah, and so I never thought about that in any real way when I was younger. Although there were times that I, was trying to figure out ways where we as a group could kind of do what sort of the Blues Brothers did, like what John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd did, when they left SNL, which is I thought there was a way that we can create some sort of fictional band that we can kind of go around and do something with, because there's a lot of people in the state are musicians and like music, and but that never happened. But then when David started doing this, I couldn't help, but it just was so much fun. I just kept going back over and over again, and it's very cathartic and just a lot of fun to just be there singing with friends. And David is, as I said, I met him my first day of college, and we've been tight ever since. And there's two other members of the group who are one is from college, Ted Penna, and then another guy, Frank Barrera, I grew up with. I met him when I was in ninth grade, and he's a DP here in Hollywood, and we've shot movies and shows together. And David has as well with Frank, and he plays guitar, and so it's just a really wonderful kind of experience that we just sort of stumbled into.
And little did we know that the band would now become we are international music celebrities. Like,
yeah, we're selling out all over the world. It's hard, it's hard to kind of set, to keep the balance.
Just to see the record sales,
rock stardom.
And also the money coming in is
my God, the money is ridiculous.
I try to like to have perspective about it and not let that change things, but what can you do? And that we're flying only private now, and it's great.
I'm not sitting on a chair right now. I'm sitting on a pile of money.
Yeah, and well-earned money because you guys rock. You absolutely
it's
rock.
Mostly $5 and $10 bills, so it's a lot.
I do. I would switching to the less jokey. To me, there's a high playing the drums or playing in a rock band and getting those moments where you feel like you're in flow with the other people on a stage or just in the garage. Just the same. It's just it's a high that's not the same as the other high that you get from doing comedy or from filmmaking or all the other things I love artistically. This is its own. There's something about rock and roll. It's just very, very exciting to me, and I hope to always be able to do it, as a hobby or whatever. I love it.
Yeah, and you guys are taking it to the East Coast. I mean, you got the Dogfish Head in Delaware on July 19th, and of course the Bell House in New York on the 22nd. And then I'm going to get to see you guys rock out July 20th at Ardmore Music Hall, and I'm super stoked about this.
Ardmore Music Hall!
It's an awesome room, and you guys are going to absolutely love it. And I'm going to say, I've seen a lot in LA of the guests you guys bring along, and I don't know if you have anything planned for Ardmore, but if you want me to get up and sing a few songs, I'm willing to donate some time to you.
Well, we do have a call in. We're hoping to get Rocky Balboa to show up. Because I think he still lives in Philly. I just want to say I love Philadelphia. I haven't been there in a long time, but when we used to tour with the Stella Trio, it was always one of the best stops for us because the audiences were just so deeply appreciative and fun and wild, and I can't wait to go back there.
What do you sing? Do you play guitar? What do you do?
Yeah, I sing and play guitar. In another life, I tried to do a music career, and it wasn't terrible, but it didn't succeed.
What'd you get, like top 20, but not number one? Is that what it was?
That's it. That's exactly what it was, And
I know the deal.
I just it was just not breaking that top 20, and it was just like, why bother? But no, I mean, like playing music, like you said, is just absolutely like just a pure joy, and to be able to like kind of communicate not just with a band member, but like also with the audience. Like, there's nothing better than playing live music. Like, it's incredible.
Well, I got to tell you, when I was in college and they started that new group, which was then called the New Group, that ultimately became the State. I was still in what you could call the old group. And then I remember seeing them on stage doing a certain kind of comedy that felt very like they were having a great time and including the audience in the fact that they were having a great time. And the inclusive quality of it was something that immediately made me feel like I need to work with these people and do this kind of thing for the rest of my life, which I ended up doing. And I love that goal. And I feel like, so many of my favorite projects in TV and movies have been organic outgrowths of just friends having fun or doing something that was not meant as a for-profit enterprise. And this band is a similar idea, which is it's purely an outgrowth of us just having fun in the garage, and hopefully it feels just like we're just all hanging out and having a good time, and we're all included in the fun when we do these live shows, and it's no more serious than that.
It's awesome. I know you have a heart out. Do you have time to go through this quick questionnaire that I ask all my guests?
You got to talk about the Jawn.
Yes, absolutely. If you guys aren't familiar, and I'm hoping you are, Jawn can mean whatever you want it to be. So it doesn't have to be anything. Kevin perfectly summed it up by saying it's like how the Smurfs use Smurf, Philadelphians use Jawn.
Or like Henrietta Pussycat on Mr. Rogers says meow 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 meow. You know?
Yes. Real quick side note on that. When Fred Rogers died, this is the weirdest story ever. But when Fred Rogers died, I had.
Yeah, it just happened. I just saw it on Twitter.
Oh.
I had Betty Aberlin's email address for some reason, and I emailed her and I was like, "My condolences. Fred was like felt like a father because he raised me essentially watching TV." And she replied to me like within like 5 minutes the night he passed away, and she was like, "I not only lost a friend, I feel like I also lost a son." Because I'll never speak to Daniel Tiger again. And it was the weirdest email I've ever gotten in my life. Like, it was just, it gutted me, man. Yeah. So,
fellow Pennsylvanian.
That's right.
Give me your favorite, if anybody has one, your favorite Mr. Rogers quote or saying that you are inspired by or live by, or I don't think I'm messing up.
You're setting yourself up. Go ahead.
I just because there was a pause, so I thought you were going to say something. I mean, I thought there was a pause, so
I was just busy Googling one. But you go ahead.
If it's mentionable, it's manageable. I like that.
Right.
That is nice.
The modern way, they would say that is name it to tame it.
Name it to tame it.
But I think he said it more poetically.
Any other ones, guys, while we're here, just to honor the man?
He said, all of us at some time or another need help. Whether we're giving or receiving help, each of us has something valuable to bring to this world. That's one of the things that connects us as neighbors. In our own way, each of us is a giver and a receiver.
And you just remember that off the top of your head?
I always keep that in the top of my head, and also I just Googled it both.
I always like my guests to go first, but you literally just stole mine.
You have that at the top of your head as well?
Yeah, that was mine. So this is the Jauntlet. It's split up into two sections. The first section is one hit wonders, and it's just you're picking one or the other. So Billy Joel or Elton John? You can just shout out answers.
Billy Joel, any day of the week.
I would say Billy Joel. I'm from Long Island. Got to be Billy Joel. But I mean, Elton John. It's sort of like a neck and neck there. But
is it always the same questions?
It is. Yes.
Yeah.
There was a time where some of these were a little different, but things like Sammy Hagar or Eddie or David Lee Roth. Everybody
David Lee Roth.
Yeah, of course. So I had to cut that one. And there's two in here that are on the chopping block, but we'll see how you guys answer on them. The next one, Debbie Harry or Joan Jett.
I love them both, but I go with Debbie Harry because I had such a huge crush on her growing up.
Yeah, that's a tough one too.
I mean, Joan Jett too, but
I'm going Debbie Harry.
All right.
I'm going Debbie Harry, but it's a real Sophie's choice.
Yes, indeed it is.
Well, Debbie Harry has a higher volume of like hits in my heart, song wise.
And I was also more attracted to Debbie Harry in that moment at that time. But then Joan Jett I was attracted to. It's it's a tough one.
Yeah,
Debbie Harry.
This is probably the one that people go back and forth on the most of all the ones of these in this section.
Yeah.
Next one, Aretha Franklin or Tina Turner?
Aretha Franklin.
And I'm going to say Tina Turner only because, again, huge crush as a kid.
You like those legs, those long legs.
I like the legs. I like the dance moves. I like the spinning hips.
The essence.
I like everything about her. Still do. I mean, I know she's no longer with us, but I love her.
All right. Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Nirvana for me.
Yeah, I would say Nirvana as well.
But in recent last couple of years, I've come to have a deeper appreciation for Pearl Jam. But I mean, Nirvana is incomparable.
I agree.
Is it true you guys were at the Unplugged in New York taping?
We were at an Unplugged. Was it Nirvana?
Most of the state was at the Nirvana Unplugged taping, which is easily the most famous Unplugged ever.
I was there.
I did not make it to that, much to my chagrin. I did go to the Kiss Unplugged taping.
Oh, yes. That
was a very awkward and fun night.
Gene Simmons,
which one were you at there?
The Kiss Unplugged taping, which was the first time in the modern era that the 4 original Kiss members reunited.
Oh, wow. That's good.
In the late 90s.
Gene Simmons hit on my wife right in front of me. It was kind of a point of pride. It was like he eyed her from head to toe and said, "I like this," and I was like, "Bro, I'm right here." Like,
yeah, but that guy's track record's not great.
No.
What are you talking about? He does great.
Oh, I mean,
no.
I get it wrong.
No.
The Janis Joplin or Stevie Nicks?
Stevie, every day. Love Stevie Nicks. Janis Joplin, I appreciate her legacy. Stevie Nicks, I actually love. Again,
I like Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
I would like to Stevie Nicks.
Oh.
Just like a wide-winged dove.
The cliche one, Beatles or the Stones?
Stones. Of course, Stones. I just listened to all of Sticky Fingers today.
Yeah, Sticky Fingers is amazing. Exile on Main Street's amazing. But
what did the Beatles ever do, really?
I'm going to say the Beatles. But again, it's just ridiculous to. The Stones are amazing, but you got to get without the Beatles. Do you have the Stones?
Yes.
No, I don't think you do.
All right.
Do you?
I hope I
don't.
The
Beatles were at best derivative has-been followers.
What?
No, that's not true. That part was a joke.
The last one of the one-hit wonders: Bohemian Rhapsody or Stairway to Heaven?
Bohemian Rhapsody. Stairway to Heaven. No. Of those two songs, I'll take Bohemian Rhapsody.
Are you saying the Beatles and Stones were one-hit wonders?
No, the one-hit wonders is just like a play on.
Brown Sugar, for example. I can't get no satisfaction. There's 2 right there.
2-hit wonders. Okay, they had 2.
I think he was talking about these songs, Dave.
Stairway to Heaven is my pick.
And she's buying the stairway.
I have so many different relationships to that song, which is that I slow danced to it at various points in my adolescence.
Oh yeah.
And I
learned or with a girl.
Both. And I then at one point learned to play it on the guitar. Then I learned to play on drums. And then you study the lyrics at one point. And it's a lot of different touch points to that. I used to listen constantly to the Frank Zappa version where he had a huge, giant big band with many, many horns playing a note for note recreation of the crazy guitar solo. And it's one of the great recordings. It's a live recording. I highly recommend Frank Zappa, Stairway to Heaven.
I'm looking that up this second this ends.
It's amazing.
That sounds incredible.
Zappa or Jethro Tull?
Frank Zappa.
Yeah. I did see Jethro Tull live though, and one of the best concerts I've ever seen in my life. They were phenomenal.
That's cool.
Yeah. The last section is the top 10 countdown. Again, Jawn can be whatever you want it to be. Number 1, what was your first Jawn? What was the first thing you were obsessed with when you were a kid?
You just said it can be whatever I want it to be. And then you said,
but whatever you want it to be
Jawn,
in terms of the
what was your first thing you were obsessed with? So now that's a very specific question. Jawn is very clearly defined in your question.
My Jawn was Jacqueline Smith.
Yeah.
My Jawn was Jacqueline Smith on Charlie's Angels. That was my Jawn from the minute I saw the show until the show went away, and then decades later, it was still Jacqueline Smith. My Jawn.
Ken, be honest. Have you asked to take a general meeting with Jacqueline Smith just so you can?
I have. Yeah, I'm still waiting to hear back
because she's around. Mine was Steve Martin's album, Let's Get Small.
It's a great one. That is a great one. Number 2, what's your current Jawn? What are you into right now?
I'm very inspired right now. I'm sort of making my way slowly through Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being, which I read a little bit every day, and it inspires me and makes me happy.
I think my Jawn right now is a middle-aged dad jam band. To be honest, it's what I think about. It's what I want to do. If when we finish rehearsing or doing a show, I'm like, what's the next time we're getting together? When are we going to do it? It's my Jawn.
I love it. I love it. Number 3, what was your first concert? What was the first live show you saw?
Me, Rolling Stones, 1981 Tattoo You tour, Cleveland Coliseum.
I saw Billy Joel, and I think it was at maybe Madison Square Garden or somewhere in the city, somewhere with like a bunch of acting people that I went to like a summer camp with.
That's incredible. Those are incredible first shows. Like you guys knocked it out of the park on the first try.
There's only one answer to that question. It's a factual one.
Yeah. My first show was David Bowie. So I feel like all three of us, we kind of lucked out.
That's a Jawn.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a Jawn.
Number 4, what was your last concert? What was the last live show you saw?
Hollywood Bowl, Steely Dan.
Oh,
ooh.
Nice.
How was that?
It was great. I went with, I went with like, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, I went with Mather, Drew Tarver, and I think, Joe Latruglio? I went with 3 people who were diehard Steely Dan fans. And so I felt like I was just absorbing, like I was getting like a tutorial of like everything I needed to know about Steely Dan that I didn't know. Because I just enjoy Steely Dan, but I don't know like the different albums and like what this song was about, and this song's weird or whatever. I just like hearing the hits. And so when I went and saw it with them, I just got a full education about each song. It was kind of awesome.
And all your friends are celebrities.
Yeah, well, I was name dropping. It was a humble brag.
My last concert was Billy Joel and Stevie Nicks.
They are in town tomorrow night, and I'm not going. I'm a little bummed out, but I am going to see Nicole Atkins. So
I will tell you, it was a great show. It was,
really?
It was, you never know, and you never know what it's going to be. And they were both awesome. And Billy Joel in particular, they were both great. But what was so great about Billy Joel is you feel like he had an attitude on stage, which is, I have nothing to prove in this life, and I'm just going to get out here and give it everything. And it was so cool. He was just having a blast. He was relaxed. He was fun. He was funny. He was just killing it. I loved it.
Any songs that were a surprise to you? Any deep cuts? Any
not too many. I mean, he did so many of my favorites that I was worried he wouldn't, like Scenes from Italian Restaurant and Moving Out. And, he definitely, but they were all, there were no like really deep cuts. Which would have been fun too. No, I think he might have done "Don't Ask Me Why," which was cool. And he was great. He did a thing where he said, the song "Innocent Man." I wrote that song and I hit that high note in it, not sort of anticipating that I would be asked to continue to sing it 30 years later when I'm almost 80 years old. He's like, so I'll give it my best because I'm not going to, I don't have tapes backstage or anything. So if I don't hit it, you'll understand. And it was a really good build up.
Did he hit it?
He hit it.
It's awesome. Number 5, what was your favorite concert?
My favorite concert was what came to mind is the first show I saw where I realized what live music really can be. And that was seeing the Replacements in a little bar in Cleveland, Ohio, where I grew up, and being like, oh, it's a whole nother thing when you're like 5 feet away from a band that's like sweaty and just like on fire, It was amazing.
Yeah. I would say my favorite concert experiences or live show experiences, is it a concert if it's a small venue?
I count it.
Still a concert.
Yeah.
That's how I defined it.
I saw Dr. John at Tipitina's, and then I saw him in New York. And when I saw him in New York, he played for 45 minutes, and it was like it's like he wanted to get out of there. But when he played at Tipitina's, he played forever, and it was a great show. And then, lot of New Orleans music is is my favorite experience, is live stuff.
That's incredible. We just got back from New Orleans about a month ago. We were literally staying right around the corner from Tipitina's, and it was just a perfect place to stay. Like I definitely got make it back. Number 6, who have you never seen live that you wish you would have? They can be living or dead.
Prince.
Same.
I saw Prince at Madison Square Garden. Ha ha.
I don't know why you got to rub it in. I mean, we're friends. We've been friends for a long time. We established that at the beginning of the show.
Every time I listen to Led Zeppelin, I'm like, oh God, what I would have given to be there.
Yeah,
I get emotional thinking about it.
I have this bootleg of it's one of their last rehearsals when they were rehearsing for the tour that never happened right before Bonham died, and
please share that.
Yeah, it's on vinyl, so I'll have to rip it, but I'll rip it. I'll send it to you.
All right.
Oh my God, that sounds great.
It's incredible. It'll be my gift.
That sounds unbelievable.
Another great show. Just another one that I just do need to mention. I went and saw Stevie Wonder sing Songs in the Key of Life. All the songs. He just sang the album a couple of years back at whatever big sports venue over here in California. And that was incredible.
I was sitting in my office in Los Angeles, like not long ago, and somebody's blasting Stevie Wonder outside the window. And I'm like, what is going on? And I look down and it's Stevie Wonder playing on the street, doing some sort of promotional something. And it was pretty wild.
That's absolutely insane. Like, that's bananas. Number 7, name an unappreciated Jawn. Name something you wish people paid more attention to.
My pick for that would be the entire body of work of our friend who we went to college with and who I also grew up with, Craig Wedren, who does all our music for our stuff. His band, Shudder to Think, is one of the all-time, maybe my favorite band of all time. And they are, for those who know, like superheroes, but for most people who don't, they need to know. They are just insane, incredible.
And I will just piggyback on that, John, and say my Jawn is the fact that David and Craig are two of my dearest friends, and I get to create stuff with them. I've been able to create stuff with them my whole life. And Craig is an unbelievable musician. He's in an incredible band, and then he also he's done all the music for all of our movies as well, and he's just an incredible artist.
Great answer.
He's a true artist.
That's my Jawn.
Again, can I just say some of my favorite unappreciated Jawns that you're both. One is while I love the Stella shorts, they're some of the most brilliant comedy I've ever seen in my life. The short-lived Comedy Central show is so underappreciated, and I wish more people checked it out. And 2, and I'm not just saying this because you're on the show, Diggers is a phenomenal movie, and I wish more people knew about it.
I couldn't agree more. Diggers? Can you watch Diggers?
Yeah, you just got to buy it somewhere.
The Stella Comedy Central show, sadly, is literally impossible to see. There's just no way to get it.
No, I have the DVD.
Really? What is that?
I didn't know Diggers is on Max right now.
It is?
That's incredible.
Oh,
you can't. I'll tell you, like Wet Hot American Summer, for example, not streaming anywhere. But
I can't believe wonderful. Diggers is on Max.
Everyone should go see Diggers.
Agreed.
Diggers, for anybody listening, Diggers is a movie I wrote after the state. Everybody was sort of like anybody in the state was like trying to do movies or doing movies, and I was like, I got to write a movie. I got to write a comedy. I got to write a big comedy. And then I wound up writing this like little slice of life about growing up on Long Island in the 70s.
Oh, it's so great! It's so great.
Clam diggers and living in a community of and that profession is dying out. David helped produce it,
but it stars Paul Rudd and Josh Hamilton and Sarah Paulson.
Maura Tierney.
It's so good.
Yeah. And we got to shoot it. We shot it it was for HDNet. It was like Mark Cuban's company. He was giving like $1 million to shoot on video early on. When video, like shooting movies on video, was just sort of a newer thing. And so we shot this period piece, but on video, and we were like so worried that it wasn't going to look like,
No, but it looked so good.
It looks beautiful.
Yeah,
and it's a good movie.
Well, I'm glad to find out that it's on Max, because I would love to rewatch it probably this weekend, as everyone else should. Number 8, a hard one to do. What's your favorite album?
First one that comes to mind, although I'm sure there are probably others that maybe this might be the wrong answer, but it's Hallowed Ground by the Violent Femmes. Good one. I just have a lot of deep love for every track on that record.
I would say mine is Songs in the Key of Life. And then, what the hell was it? Oh, Mudslide Slim in the Blue Horizon. James Taylor.
Very good answer.
I got to listen to these. Also, Let It Be, The Replacements.
Is incredible.
That's another one that's just like, oh my God.
Number 9, name an artist whose output you'll consume anything they put out.
That current?
Yeah, it can be. Or old, even if they're still not putting stuff out. But something that
somebody I'll consume anything they put out.
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny. When I thought about this question, the true answer that came to mind is not what I would have expected it to be, but it is true, which is Tom Cruise.
That is a really good answer.
I'm like, if I think about it, he's not going to star in a movie that I'm not going to see.
I like right now musically, like somebody who if they come out with a song, Anderson .Paak.
Oh, good answer. Really good answer. Super talented dude.
Oh my God, I can't. That guy is crazy good.
Yeah. Did you ever see the Tiny Desk that he did?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good. So
good. And David, he's a drummer too. You probably know that.
I didn't really know that, and I'm putting it on my playlist right now.
Oh my God.
Excellent. The 10th and final of the top 10 countdown. What is your favorite Jawn of all time? Again, can be anything you want it to be.
You go first, Ken.
My favorite Jawn of all time.
Wow, this Tiny Desk you mentioned has 99 million views.
Yeah, it's pretty popular.
I guess I'm the one who's out of the loop here.
My favorite Jawn of all time is really good food from New Orleans. That's my favorite. That's my favorite Jawn of all time. Going to New Orleans, listening to music, and eating really good food.
Good answer.
I think mine is the soon-to-be released Indiana Jones movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard enough to know that it's my favorite thing of all time.
Wait, what? Wow.
I mean,
it's got here first, folks.
It's got a lot of really bad reviews, but I don't know. I just feel like it might be pretty good, and therefore the best thing ever.
It's good.
It might be the best Jawn. Wait, Indiana Jawn.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Jawn.
Oh
David.
My God.
David.
No, I guess I have to go with like the first thing that comes to mind when you say that. And from what came to mind is Nashville, the Robert Altman movie, Nashville.
Brilliant answer. It's so good.
So it's when I think about experiences where I end up wiped in the right way at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. So other than the middle-aged dad jam band, what do you guys got out right now? Ken, I know that you just kind of went viral when they made this Bambi announcement because they're doing Bambi live action, and the clip from the other two where it started getting shared.
That went viral?
Yeah, it was like this week.
I mean, I saw that scene. Somebody posted that scene, but I didn't realize it was gone viral in some way. But Yeah, I'm doing the other two that's on Max right now. I'm in the other two, and you can tune into the third season of Party Down that just aired a couple of months ago. Really good season. Another strike's happening, but I was shooting a new show for Shondaland called The Residence, which I think is going to be pretty good. We're a little murder mystery in the White House.
Nice.
But the big thing is right now, it's all about the band, baby. It's all about the band.
Dave? I mean, I have a show that I worked on called Miracle Workers with Steve Buscemi that's coming out on July 10th. And Daniel Radcliffe on Max or TBS or something. I don't know.
I'll figure it out. And I'll put it in the outro. I'll let everybody know. And then, as I said, you guys are coming July 20th to the Ardmore Music Hall with the Middle Aged Dad Jam Band, and I'm super excited to see it.
It's going to be a blast. I promise anyone who comes, it'll be great. And if you mention your podcast to us in person at the show, we'll give you a handshake.
We'll wrestle you.
Those are both perfect gifts. And you heard it here first, folks. Go mention the podcast and get that handshake wrestle. Get the wrestle shake.
We'll wrestle you to the ground.
If anybody wants to find clips of the Middle Aged Dad Jam Band, where's the best way to track stuff down?
Well, we now have a website, which is madjb.com.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's a Jawn.
There you go.
See, Ken's learning stuff on this podcast too, just like the rest of you.
Damn,
guys.
that's a Jawn.
Yeah, and you can find us on TikTok and whatever,
Guys, thank you so much for doing this. Like, this is a dream come true. Like I said, you two are part of a large collective who are responsible for my complete comedic sensibility. And it's an absolute honor to host you on Yo, That's My Jawn.
This was a pleasure. Man. Thank you. We'll see you at the show.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, man.
My thanks again to Ken and David for joining me on the show today. The Middle Aged Dad Jam Band will be playing at Little Secret in Los Angeles, California on July 8th, Dogfish Head Brewery in Rehoboth, Delaware on July 19th, at the Ardmore Music Hall in Ardmore, PA on July 20th, and at the Bell House in Brooklyn, New York on July 22nd. Tickets are currently still available for these shows, but guys, they are going fast. You can find more about the Middle Aged Dad Jam Band by visiting madjb.com. You can follow them on Twitter at David Wain and at Ken Marino. Links to all of those will, of course, be in the show notes. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast, wherever you get your podcast from. And dudes, it is never too late to get yourself a super awesome Jawn Scout Merit Badge for Citizenship of the World just by rating and reviewing us. Don't forget to visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com for articles, merchandise, and links to the previous episodes of this podcast. And, while you're there, be sure to sign up for our mailing list to get all of the updates delivered straight into your inbox. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YoThat'sMyJawn for updates and live streams. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Yo That's My Jawn, and search Yo That's My Jawn on YouTube to find the Yo That's My Jawn YouTube channel. Like and subscribe the heck out of that ish. We want to hear from you. Reach out, and touch some Jawn. We did it again, gang. Good job by all of us. You guys all deserve gold stars. Well, let's do it again, shall we? Say, next week? Deal. Blue skies. Until next time, everybody.
Hey yo, displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. Your taste in music doesn't have to be...
Yo, That's My Jawn is a Lonely Monk production, written and produced by yours truly, Nate Runkle. Theme song by Phil Tyler Music featuring Nate 3.0. Special thanks to Fox Run Brands, DX Ferris, Andrew Scott, Natalie Runkle, and the incredibly brilliant and wickedly stunning Katie Daubney. If you or anyone you know has any ideas they would like to share or any guests they would like to hear on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to us at yothat'smyjawn@gmail.com. Or you can leave an audio message for us and possibly hear yourself on a future episode by visiting anchor.fm/YTMJ/message. Until next time, be sure to displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure and shout to the world, yo, that's my Jawn.